Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today, yes, we have another episode of the Salty Batch Files, and we have a lot to go over as far as the normal Xbox fanboys, as well as the journalist sites, and boy, do we have some things to go over there about them being salty or biased as well. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, what we're going to do is go over these salty files here, the salty batch files, go over some Xbox fanboy stuff as well as the journalist stuff. So like I said, lots to go over here, so let's jump to it. First of all, we're going to do a little bit of a prelude here. This might have added to the cherry on top, if you will, in regards to mining that salt, triggering those fanboys, and so on and so forth. So, it was breaking news here, as you can see, and there's some other sources as well, not just this one, that the PlayStation Portal, yes, the handheld device, it's just an accessory to the PlayStation 5 that is not a handheld, but again, I have a video explaining all that. This is outselling the Xbox Series X and S combined with a ratio of almost 3-to-1 in Spain. Yes, Spain is not a huge fan of the Xbox consoles or ecosystem, but however, They do better there than they would in Japan. However, PS5 32,000, Switch 6,000, PS Portal 5,700, and Xbox S and S combined SKUs 2,000. That's not good. So that's what kind of started this off, by the way. So a little bit of a prelude. Like I said, those worldwide numbers of the Portal next month are gonna shut down the haters soon, they state. So this is true. A lot of people buying them. A lot of people stating that bots bought them. Yes, some of them did. Some of the scalpers did and tried to do so, which I don't know why they're doing that. They're not going to sell them at the rate that they want to. The portals, even though they sell out, they come back in stock pretty frequently, so do not buy from the scalpers. Just a little, PSA right there for you. But let's start off with one of our favorite Xbox fanboys, or what we would, deem them as being an X-bot. Peter Ovo, of course. One of the familiar faces if you are on social media, on Twitter at least. PlayStation consoles up 143% year over year. Xbox console sales down 52% year over year. But the majority of the PlayStation consoles are likely bought for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Therefore, Xbox still makes money. Checkmate. I know, but so does MLB, right? Because Sony helps create and publish it, and Xbox is getting those rights and paying for those rights to make that on Game Pass. Yes, it's on Game Pass, but if you want to use that sort of logic, that's what you're going with. That's what you're running with, is that, well, at least Call of Duty, yeah. Sony, the gamers on the PlayStation are funding Call of Duty. They are the ones that buy games, because your ecosystem, your fan base does not, that's not something to brag about, that your fan base does not buy games in your ecosystem. That's not good. That's not a good thing to state, because that's bad for you in the long term. I don't care what other party is funding those funds. Kind of a ridiculous statement there, but cope as you will. All right, let's move on to Mr. Justin Davis. Since the launch of Next Gen, I've done a complete 180, and at this point, I wouldn't really recommend a PS5 to people. Not until it has more games. Get an Xbox Series X and sign up for Game Pass. Okay. So you're saying PlayStation has less games than Xbox. Let's not count in the ABK yet. You can even count in the Bethesda. Even if you do count in ABK. All those games are still available on PlayStation. Nothing's available on Game Pass on the ABK library yet, or anytime in the near future of what's been stated. There's a lot more first-party games on PlayStation that you can only get on PlayStation for up to 1 to 2 years, sometimes 3 years, if not more, depending, and I'm meaning that going to the PC side of things. So, you are 110% incorrect, sir, so I don't know what kind of coping mechanism this is as well, but absolutely mind-blowing. It's just the fathom of just that next dimension of, this isn't real. Sony's success is not real. Come over to the Xbox side, you're going to be happier because you can rent games over there. No, absolutely not, dude. What in the world and the blue heck is this. So those are just a couple quick examples of just the Xbox fanboys losing it. And there's a lot more in there I didn't farm, but I wanted to focus a little bit more on the salt of the journalism here. Something to bring to light, to attention here. We're going to start with Forbes. I'm going to start posting these up pretty rapidly. Forbes, they do this often. The Xbox Series X is about to leave the PlayStation 5 in the dust. What? That didn't happen. Let's try again. Forbes, Xbox is about to leave PlayStation behind in 2022. That was in December 17th of 2021. This is before the driest year of Xbox in the history of Xbox, where they had an entire year of not a first-party AAA game. Keep that in mind. They knew this was going to happen. There was nothing on the docket, nothing on the agenda. Yet they posted that. Next for Forbes, Microsoft is leaving PlayStation and Nintendo behind, even without Starfield. So not even the game of the generation Starfield, they were still going to leave it behind. This was in June 20th of 2022, when you're in the middle of that driest dry spell for Xbox, period. What is going on? Even without Starfield. Starfield is we're in current times right now. We're in November 2023. That 110% did not happen. It's not even nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards show, nor was it at the Golden Joysticks, and so on and so forth. So that is phenomenal. But those are the Forbes ones, as you can see, trying to push this narrative, this odd narrative. I don't know if they're trying to get clicks. I don't know what they're doing, but it's 110% incorrect. It's so out there. It's so out there. Let's move over real quick to GameSpot. So these guys, I mean, they've fallen off. I think most sites have fallen off, and that's including IGN, which we'll get to at the end here. Boy, will we do that. But look at what we have here. As you can see, this entire screen here, I'll try to fit it all on there. But multiple days in a row, or close to the next day in a row, or it might be a couple after, they continually post the same article, a flop for the PlayStation VR 2. It's apparently selling really badly, which is incorrect, by the way. It may not be selling the most phenomenal numbers, but it's not flopping by any means. So as you can see, I mean, goes from the next day, 4 days, 6 days, so every other day or every couple days. And then they gave a little bit of a break, went for a few more days back there in April, posted again. They had one in March, which is right before there. So a little bit out of order here, but 30th of March. So they posted this how many times? Trying to push that narrative, trying to get those clicks, because they know if they dog on something as a journalist site that's supposed to be unbiased and give you correct information, they continue to do this, being super salty or just being very desperate, I would say at this point, trying to get those clicks. I'm sure the traffic for the site is not as high as it used to. It's not going to be, especially with FUD, and people go to you for the truthful source, and they try to get that unbiased comparisons and such like that, but you're doing a horrible job, GameSpot. So that's really needing to be called out there. Just really odd. We'll pop up a cool little meme part here for you about the Xbox tax, because boy, the Xbox tax is a real thing that people think is real. They keep talking about it. And like this states, years of broken promises and failing to compete, leading to an overall public and media preference towards its competitors. The Xbox tax is real. That's just it. This Xbox tax isn't a thing. It's exactly what happens. And there's somebody else that has something really hilarious on here, and I'm just going to quickly read it for you. But what they're saying is, how do you explain to somebody what Xbox tax is if they are not a gamer? So what they end up stating is this: when your mom spends years saying you sing better than Beyonce, so you go on America's Got Talent thinking you're so amazing, but get voted off for being shit, and then your mom reassures you you are the best. It's the judges and audience and everyone else being unfair. That encapsulates it in a nutshell for all the folks out there thinking that Xbox tax is real. Keep that in mind. If you want to explain that to somebody that, like they said, is not a gamer, I think that's perfect. And even if you are a gamer, you still understand that reference because everybody and their dog knows who Beyonce is and her credentials, right? And then trying to compare you to one of the greatest of all times, it's like, you know, you could say the same thing. We're comparing this person singing to Whitney Houston. We're comparing it to, you know, just any other phenomenal artist in our time. And then you truly are nowhere near that type of caliber of talent. You go and do something, there you go. But you're going to claim it. And you see it all the time. If you watch those reality shows, America's Got Talent, American Idol, The Voice, yada, yada. The ones that are actually really horrible, sometimes you see those side pieces of the things being filmed, and of course they go on stating they just don't understand or recognize this, that, and the other. But totally off topic at that point in a way, but that's how you understand that, right? So anyways, going further, there was a space created in Twitter there that the fall of PlayStation has begun. So this is another one outside of the media portion before we get back to the media portion. Now this guy, I think he's purposely doing that. He is a little bit of a troll on there. He's kind of a comedian, so to speak. However, why I bring this up is because this is actually a real thing. Now, because of all the narratives and everything else, Xbox tax, PlayStation Portal selling well, all this stuff, they ran with this narrative they got from some random person on Reddit that has no data or sources to truly back this up, stating that PlayStation is in major debt in the gaming portion. They're not able to come up and so on and so forth. So they're in the crapper. They're not going to survive. They're not going to succeed. Their days are numbered, essentially. So this is what's going on here. Truly hilarious. The salt, the coping, the deranged thinking, absolutely phenomenal right there. But okay, so right back to GameSpot here. We have another one. The PlayStation Portal just isn't good enough. It just isn't good enough, guys. It's just not good enough. Even though it's selling out consistently, whether some of that is some scalper help, it's still selling out. First-hand experience with those talking about it, showing videos of utilizing it, everything else. Linus Tech Tips is saying and praising things about it. It really is a great device. Again, it may not be for everybody. It may not be for you. But for those that have one system, have maybe one TV in the household, and you have a family, you have kids, you have a wife, you have a spouse, a partner, whoever, this could come into real handy. If you do have the ability to get to Wi-Fi somewhere where you don't have to do a check-in, yes, at a public Starbucks probably isn't going to work at this time. This could be an update later on. But anyways, the point being, this is not a flop. This is not a flop, and it is good enough. For what it is good enough. If you want to know more about this, again, I have a previous video explaining why we have this instead of a next Vita 2 successor or whatever the case is. I explain why. There's just too much competition out there. But again, GameSpot trying to get those clicks, trying to make something happen, trying to create the drama because the traffic is not there. The journalism integrity is not there. That's unfortunate. Now, what I want to do is quickly turn your attention. Now, I don't have the sound on, but I put the captions on this video that you'll be seeing here and there. I want to talk about the most recent IGN Next Gen Console Watch video. Now, I don't personally care in the aspect of anybody can have their own opinion, and that's fine. I also don't condone saying or meaning awful things towards Mr. Schofield, or Ryan McCaffrey, or Damon Hatfield, or anybody IGN, just an FYI. But I do want to call out the absurdity of this report card deal, and for them to think that they're just not going to get some pushback on here, and I think they know they are kind of out of their minds a little bit. At least I hope so. But the funny part is you can see on the PlayStation side, we've always had Ryan McCaffrey on the Xbox side, and that's all good and well because he is an Xbox fanboy. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are a fanboy, as long as you have those expectations and you're not being delusional, whatever. You can have your preference, your bias, whatever. I don't care. Nobody else should also care. However, on the PlayStation side, you have Matt, you have others, and just randoms that aren't consistently over there. And all they do is continually talk crap about Sony. But keep in mind, there's a PlayStation tax out there, but they consistently talk crap about Sony when it comes to these next-gen console watch stuff. They'll have a couple little highlights of like, well, this and this is good, but then they go on. So ultimately, they're trying to give a report card grade for the 3 years that both systems have been out, the Series S and X, and of course the PlayStation 5. They're not talking about next-gen console watch for Nintendo because, of course, the Switch 2 isn't out. The Switch is like an 8-year-old system at this point, right? So going on, more specifically, the PlayStation side, what I'm going to talk about here, and just the amount of copium and just disdain they have for PlayStation's insane. So they just go on stating the fact, as you can see here, that they are not fully encapsulated by the DualSense. They don't care about it. They said it's not utilized well. That's one of the factors they're bringing in, by the way. It's just not utilized well. Most games don't utilize it, which is completely, so that's not necessarily false when it comes to the third-party games. I will go ahead and be on record stating that. There are, however, a lot of third-party games that do take advantage of it, whether it's a speaker, whether it's the haptics, and they do really well. They truly do. And I'll put up some examples if you guys want in the future here. I'll let you know, or put a thread or whatever. But the one thing to keep in mind is 110% of PlayStation's first-party AAA games utilize that DualSense to a T. Not as much as Astro's Playroom, because that was designed necessarily to use every facet available for that DualSense controller. So keep that in mind. However, when you're talking about Spider-Man 2018 Remastered, you're talking about God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, you're talking about Spider-Man 2, Ghost of Tsushima Remastered for the PS5, literally everything, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, every first-party Returnal, I can go on and on. They all do such a phenomenal job, whether you're using guns, whether you're traversing with web swinging, whether you're walking across water, pulling, your drawstrings for your bow, you name it, like your jetpacks, whatever. It's so well done. The immersion is 100% there. It's so there that, as a matter of fact, that Xbox is looking to integrate a haptic type of controller for their side of things. Keep that in mind. Just want to get that out of the way, that I thought that was ridiculous for them to say that too. That's just out of left field in a way. And then they just kind of continue to go, like you said, just trashing it in regards to what's being offered in the games, how it's been dry, there's not enough there. You know what? There's been, even if it's just one game a year, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, even if it's been one game a year, like we're getting Spider-Man 2 this year, and that was it for first party. We've had DLC, right? We've had DLC for Horizon Forbidden West, which was phenomenal, by the way. But you can't count it as a full new entry. So I understand that portion, but we're eating good. We're getting good stuff. And yes, we get exclusive content from third parties. So the first party is Spider-Man 2, but that first party Spider-Man 2 is better than any other game that I've played this year. And a lot agree. If you don't agree, you don't have to, stating, because not everybody and their kid or grandma is going to love Spider-Man, the character, the IP, the stories, the game, whatever. I understand that. No one's ever going to be 100% on board with any game or franchise ever. That being said, that's insane to say that they've been dry. We don't know what's coming out. Yes, it's going to be a lot of third party. Yes, there's been some mishaps because they wanted to go the games as a service aspect. But some of that has been tailored back from what we understand, and they're only going to have a few of those options, and they're going to focus back on single-player narrative-driven stuff, which is what most PlayStation fans want. That being said as well, that's so to dock them. So as you can see, you're reading all the captions. As you're listening to me and reading the captions, all these points that they're bringing to fruition here is absolutely insane. They're making fun of, like you saw, PlayStation VR 2, how that's, was a mistake. Ryan McCaffrey regrets buying it. Max Schofield doesn't even have it, but he's dogging on it. They have another coworker there that has it, but never took it out of the box, but they're using the hardware on their site very often, but they're thinking about trading it in. Look, you know what VR is and whether you're going to like it or not. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the PSVR 2. It's phenomenal. It has eye tracking. It has haptics in the headset. The controllers are phenomenal. They have a lot of great games. Call of the Mountain is one of those breakout games. Yes, it's only one right now for the first party offerings. But again, they're trying to gauge that. They know that VR has a very potential future. I'm talking to the younger generation that love VR. That is their main thing they go to. So they know what to expect. So either you like it or you don't. So Ryan stating that you're not liking it and you regret it, that seems like a personal issue because you know what you're getting with VR. You're getting most of those games that are available on the MetaQuest, with the Oculus, and so on and so forth. There's a few games out there that's not on VR too, at least as of this time, which is Half-Life Alyx and a few others, of course, Swords and Sorcery, stuff like that. I can make a book on that as well, right? But there's still a lot to be offered on the PSVR 2, and either you know what you're getting into and you like it or you don't. But to sit there and say it's a failure and you regret it, again, that's a personal issue. I would count that as a skill issue that you don't understand what you're buying in the first place without doing your research and understanding the investment that you're doing on a day one purchase rather than waiting and seeing what that game library is for you and if it makes sense for you. So at the end of the day, what they do is for the 3 years, keep in mind, for the 3 years that the IGN staff have been rating this supposedly, they give a report card grade of C to PlayStation. If that doesn't consider biasness towards Xbox or Nintendo or whatever they have their views on, I don't know what does. A C? So you're telling me with games like Demon's Souls, all, Ghost of Tsushima Remake, Forbidden West, Returnal, Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, I think I just said that, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, all these games that have been coming out for PlayStation 5 has been phenomenal. They have the third-party exclusives from like Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out to be Rebirth here soon. Final Fantasy 16, other games that you cannot get currently on Xbox, which has been and still at this time, I know it's available in December, Baldur's Gate 3, there's Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm, Octopath Traveler 2, and yes, some of these are available on Nintendo, but that just shows what other games are not available on the Xbox platform. So what matters, ladies and gentlemen, to a gaming ecosystem. Why do you have a platform? Why do you game on said platform? Is it because of the hardware itself necessarily? No. Is it because of the controller itself necessarily? Not necessarily. What matters to you when you buy a platform? Yes, there's other aspects that may influence it a little bit. What's the main driving factor? I've said it time and time again. It is the games. The games are the driving factor of why you purchase that system. 110%. So, we're giving it a C. PlayStation has some of the best games in the ecosystem for them. Some of the best games, the greatest games you will ever play, that most of them, or at least some of them, are not available on PC at this time. If you want to play on PC, great. PlayStation is a fantastic ecosystem. For it to get a C is absolutely insane. The salt, the biasness, whatever. But we're going to sit there and claim Xbox tax. Real quick, before we sum up this video, what did they give the Xbox side of things? What did they give them? They gave them a B because Activision Blizzard and Bethesda acquisitions. So these games that are not even available yet, aside from, the past catalog of Bethesda games, besides the recent Starfield, which isn't even, again, nominated for Game of the Year when it's supposed to be the game of the generation, that no one's able to put this down for the next 10 years. That's how amazing it's going to be and going to blow everybody's mind. That did not happen. ABK, where the games aren't even influenced yet by anything Microsoft has done. Nothing's available on Game Pass day one at this time for ABK games under that umbrella. Call of Duty, releasing one of the worst Call of Duties in how long, is part of that ABK deal. So you're banking it again on the just wait and see. Wait for the future of Xbox. This or that is going to happen. And you give it a B. You give it a B because of acquisitions. Not because of the games they've done, nothing because of anything that's homegrown. Big misses with Redfall. Delay after delay of Starfield and it coming out to be just whatever. Either you like it or you don't. There's no middle ground. There's no you know what, I play it. It's fine. There's no middle ground. You either love it or you hate it. And most people don't care for it. They find it boring. and it's loading screen simulator. Let's be honest. And I'm not just saying that to be salty. I'm not being salty. I'm just being honest. If you enjoy that stuff, I hope you do. Absolutely. But this is the salty batch files, and that's what I want to highlight for the Xbox fanboys, and in this case, a lot of the journalist sites, and just kind of address that Xbox tax that's been floating around. However, all my examples, especially with the media stuff, they say otherwise. Pay attention. That's what's going on. So, the delusion is real, the salt is real, as normal. We're going to have more to farm as the days go on as well, so stay tuned for that. So I appreciate everybody's hanging in there, watching the whole video. I appreciate all the support. 800 and, oh my gosh, this is insane for me to say. 826 subscribers out of 1,000 at this time of recording. Thank you all so much, so much. Just the jump in subscriptions have been phenomenal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have not already done so, leave a like, comment down below. Would love to hear from you. Of course, if you haven't already and are checking this out, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. With that being said, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and we will see you next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.